Colman Domingo, Victor Strand.
Ian Goldberg, co-showrunner.
Take our phones.
Just one. Let's see. We'll take this. Nice case.
Yes. No, that's not good.
So, I was gonna say, I got distracted. Sorry. I was gonna say, what is
With my beauty.
That's
exactly the correct
It's outfit.
I know. I apologize.
So, what can you tell us about Victor Strand's reunion with Salazar? What?
Well, last
time we saw them, they were enemies.
last I shot him in the face.
Right.
And
Yes, you did.
But I think it was also justified. I from the perspective of Victor Strand, I'm always just like, it was justified because remember, he left me for dead as well. Remember, he left me for dead with the walkers. No, he tried to kill me as well.
But I feel like you earned that, though.
Yes, you did.
Did I? I think we've tried to kill each other. So it's fair, okay? and I think what's interesting is that we're coming back together and we're seeing where our journeys have taken us. And will it still be fraught, or will we have history? We're some of the rare characters that have history with each other, such long history. And there's possibility. I mean, we're the only ones we've got in some way. I think it'd be interesting to see. I always think it's interesting, and I'm not telling you anything, but if we can see these people, they're superpowers. That like, and I like to see the idea that like Victor Strand being cunning, smart, being able to be a bit of a con man, that's a superpower. Right. And and Daniel Salazar being, he's come from a lot of war-torn places and done some terrible things, and possibly that could be useful to each other or can tear each other apart. And so I love in the trailer when you see them for the first time.
But if you see the trailer, it's one of the things that it also try to, there has been an evolution from last time. There's been a time jump and everything. So everybody has had different experiences, and that is good because you don't have like a one-note type of performance or character where everybody's gonna always assume, oh, this is what he's gonna do or she's gonna do. But if you see you saw the trailer, you see the part where I tell him, I haven't seen him in a long time, and I'm already, remember Salazar is it's intelligence. That's his field. So he's thinking a lot of, he's trying to figure out why is he here. And what is behind his?
What does he want?
Yeah, but he says, first thing he says to him is, "You still talk too much, Victor." And he's smiling, almost smiling. He doesn't shoot him.
Well, he gives him the whole speech about let's not shoot.
Yeah. But I thought I'm glad that you picked that way to introduce the thing, because anybody would have thought that as soon as I see him, I'm gonna,
Well, this was a relationship that we were very excited about when we were bringing back Salazar onto the show. Obviously, one of the first things that we thought about was the unfinished business between Strand and Salazar, and not going into too much of what that's going to look like in the show. What Colman said about these being characters that have real history and real they know each other on a fundamental level. They know what makes each other tick. They may not have left on the best. Yeah, they may not have left on the best of terms.
They respect each other too. Salazar knows. If you go back to season 1, there was a moment where nobody really knew what he was about when he had the suit and he was in that detention cell.
Yeah.
When we broke out of there because of what had happened, with the undead coming in and whatnot, I saw this guy shooting. Both of us were shooting. We were the ones who were shooting, people and those things. And I noticed right away. This guy, he was a really damn good shoot, and he knew what he was doing. So from that moment on, Salazar knew, I gotta watch this guy, because of all of these people, the Clark family and whatnot, this guy
we always built our relationship in that way, believing that our characters see each other. We see each other very clearly, and we're not people who reveal too much, so we're very much alike in a way. Yeah, you know.
Like we could do if somebody spoke Apache in this group, with one of the or the both of us. All of a sudden, like you see somebody talking German, and it would be him or me.
Right.
And it's like, how do they know that?
Exactly.
It's always like all this stuff in the back. It's like.
Well, will we get to learn more about what Salazar has been up to? How much are you going to focus on that past area compared to going forward?
We can say that Salazar has had a incredible journey from where we left him at the end of season 3 to where we will find him in season 5. Over the course of season 5, you're going to find out where he is now, what he's been through, and you're going to see how it's changed him. And we're going to see that the Salazar that we meet this season, well, of course, there's history between the characters. He's a changed man. Can't say how he's changed, but you'll see that there's been some real change there.
What's the decision to bring him back again? Because technically, survived 2 deaths almost in the show. In an apocalyptic show, you die once, you're pretty much dead.
Do you remember when? I'm sorry, just to jump. Do you remember when he was he got up from he faked at the end of season 3. He's like a cat with 9 lives. Like this man does not lie. He's like the Terminator.
He is.
That's what he's the Terminator.
Yeah.
But also it shows his history. It's like he will keep surviving and keep going, and there's still more life in him. That's what I believe. Mm-hmm.
It's funny, yeah. He must, and also he, one thing that I have found is in the process, these things make you question yourself. Why are you in this world? I mean. Remember, there was a conversation that you asked me when in season 3, when we were going to supposedly, or Ophelia was, that you lied about that, and that you asked me, why aren't you dead, or something like that, and I said, I don't know.
Because you also have Troyata returning, so you've chosen to bring the 2 characters back. And I was
Have who returning?
Do you have Otto returning as well?
No, we do not.
Oh, you don't?
No,
That's a nasty rumor.
Yeah, that
was just a rumor.
Yes, that's just a rumor. He is. I mean, we thought he was awesome on the show, but he's not returning.
He's doing the Medici thing. Yeah.
Now, with characters coming over from The Walking Dead to Fear the Walking Dead, can we expect some Fear the Walking Dead characters going over to the main show, or perhaps a giant crossover event similar to today's comic book-based movies and some TV shows?
That is a very interesting question,
And you will not be
I mean,
Answer your question.
Andrew and I are really just focused on Fear. That's Scott Gimple is in charge of the greater universe, but I think we can say that it's a universe that's constantly expanding and intersecting with each other, so anything's possible.
Okay. Cannot confirm nor deny.
No, but we've seen crossovers happen, and they've been really exciting, so I would say to expect more.
I was wondering as well, with Strand, how is he going to sort of be coping with the loss of the Clarks this season?
I think he's still coping with the loss of the Clarks. I think that's this new family that he found himself with in the apocalypse has really changed him and challenged him to be a part of a community. And I think that's been the blessing of Madison Clark. I mean, he's still living, he found his purpose through her after, the decline and the loss of, Thomas Abigail. And then he found new purpose and greater meaning and community. And so I think that he's working it out, because I think at a person's core, they're who they are, and then they're trying to become something else. And so I think we're going to see Victor really go deeper and try to trust himself and trust this person that Madison, he always trusted that Madison was the mirror of his better self. She always believed that he was bigger than he is, or he was more loving, more generous than he appeared to be. And I think that he's possibly being challenged to allow that part of himself to be shown, and for that to be seen as a strength and not as a weakness. I think that he always thought that was a weakness, letting it being shown. But I think that I know that Andrew and Ian has been very interested in seeing how that, revealing that part of himself, that the good nature part of yourself, and that's okay too. So he's trying to make peace with that,
So is he fully on board with the new mission of Hope?
I think he's on board as much as he can be. I think he's on. I think it's just like at the core. I really believe that people at the core. Colman believes that people at the core don't change who they are. They grow. They have situations to help challenge them and move them somewhere else. But at the core, I think I like the idea that even little bits of myself, when let's say if I receive a script and say, "Oh, he's feeling this way," and do that, I feel like there's even just a little. You always want to bring a little bit of cadence. You're like, this person's still, they're really at the core, like trying to work hard, and that makes them more complicated as well too. And I think that's what they're interested in as well. Like, this is what they're on board for the mission, but at this core, he's like, I'm still a little nervous. And but this with the group, I'm on board with this mission because that's a part of life now. So I think,
and I think you can. I mean, the other thing too, and you've seen the trailer, you see that there's a scene between Strand and Salazar. But to ask, yes, we've seen Strand evolve and get on board with this mission and really become really targeted toward that. But in sort of facing Salazar, someone who knows who he was previously, there is going to be that element of
that question.
That part of Strand that still exists. Those two things can still exist, and he's going to have to face perhaps some of the things he's not as proud of.
You see, like he takes a risk when that little moment. He's taking his life on his hands. That is huge because this guy, Strand, he doesn't put himself in danger. He doesn't. He's always looking after himself. The fact that he shows up there, knowing that he can get killed, shows you, what you were saying about the changes that all of a sudden, that's a really unselfish thing when you think about it, because he's putting himself in danger for something.
And it's interesting too, because I love this thought, because this just came to me, because I feel like this is the argument that I've been having within myself about Victor Strand. When people say that he's always looking out for himself, I think that I've always looked at any moment that Victor Strand has had when he's trying to look out for the group and they've made an agreement, and then someone from the group decides to do something else, then Strand's like, okay, now I'll look out for myself.
Right.
But he tries. He keeps trying for the group, but then something happens that I told you not to do that. Okay, now I have to look out for myself then. So he's like, at some point he's like, self-preservation, but I try. I'm going to try being part of the group, but you have to all be on board. Yeah.
And for Salazar, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I keep cutting you, but the only thing that I wanted to say was that for Salazar himself, also in that little moment, I mean, his whole thing is, if he lost his wife, he lost his daughter. What is there? What else is there? Why would he want to live for? Obviously, at that moment, he survived. He didn't kill himself. He's there. Okay, so that's because there's been a change. He sees him, and he says, "You talk too much. You still talk too much." He doesn't shoot him.
Yeah.
He's kind of happy in a way to see him somehow.
Some connection.
Yes, which tells also a lot about the changes that they both gone through.
I was just going to ask, way back, you guys were talking about how the Clarks had given your character inspiration and made you believe you were greater than you are. But I was wondering now, with kind of Morgan sort of leading this mission, how does he see you, and how does that affect your character?
It's interesting, because I think even the way where we've all met in all of our crossroads, we're being received as the way we are in that moment. Morgan doesn't know my history.
Right.
You know what I mean? He does. These people don't know. So even there'll be a moment actually where someone brings up something about a person's history, and they're like, "Well, I didn't know that. All I've been presented with is with the person that I know." And so that's very interesting and complicated as well. Where it's like, okay, yeah, we all have history. June has history. Everyone has come into it with something else. But when we meet at this crossroads, we're seeing each other at brand new. So I think that Morgan doesn't have I don't know, the luxury of having the baggage of knowing Victor from before. Yeah, you know what I mean? He's just being presented with Victor now.
And I think the thing that bonds everyone is, and something that Morgan understands really well, is everyone's done some things in their past that they regret. Everyone's done things that they're trying to make up for. Morgan has definitely done his share of things that he carries with him, that he regrets, and everyone is striving for the same redemption. So in that sense, your history matters, your past matters, of course, but it's like we're all just united in this, let's try and be better people, let's try and redeem ourselves and make the world a little bit better.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's get a quick picture of the three of you. Is that okay?